Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast. P is for plog. This is episode 41 and we're continuing the theme of the last couple of episodes, which is just basically an update on how things are progressing for the Run of Promises, my 40 days of running 40 ultra marathons, specifically 50.65 kilometers. 40 times 50.65 is 2026. It makes sense, even if it is a little bit convoluted. This is update number 3. Let's get going.
Plug it and tag it and post it and bin it. Plug it and tag it and post it and bin it.
Okay, so this I was promising to get this out every week, and I did record it last week, but I wasn't really happy with how it went, and so I decided to record it again. The issue was did it outside. It wasn't a very good location, and I was like thinking, this is a bit daft. One of the great things about recording in the studio is it takes me just a few seconds to set up and then I'm good to go. I'm not doing any fancy lighting or anything. This is just lighting from the window, and that's good enough for me. So rather than just drag around equipment and find a quiet spot that doesn't get interrupted was just so difficult. So I'll probably do it again, but really just in the interest of saving time and being a bit more efficient, I'm doing it in the studio. So that was a bit of a failure, but this one should be okay. So what am I going to talk about? I'm going to keep it quite simple. Just want to give an update on two specific things: the injury and the food. So I just want to talk about that. I want to moan about two things as well, and anything else that pops up into my mind. So let's get going. Well, first of all, the two big topics, the injury. I think the injury is the biggest one. What's happening with the injury, because it's not something, I've been saying I'm not worried about it, but it is dragging on. So I think we're now 3 weeks in with this injury, maybe even a bit longer, I'm not sure. And it's still there. So I just went out for a jog now, just a 6 kilometer jog, and I was hobbling. It was a struggle. I'm only doing around 8 minute kilometers. I can't put any speed or any force on it. So that's a bit of a problem. It means that if you put that into perspective, that was kind of the average time I was doing last year when I was doing the 31 marathons, but that's including rest and stops and everything in between. So this means if it carries on like this, then it's going to be a long days, but it should. I'm hoping. I did go to the physio. So I went to the physio, and the physio said, look, you're not going to stop anyway, just carry on running. The most important thing was he gave me some tips just to make sure that I wasn't damaging it anymore. And he also just checked it out to make sure it wasn't, he didn't feel that there was a tear or anything like that. I think it was just my assessment that I had, which is my muscles have got so short that I was overcompensating, and it's just caught up with me. And I think that was his conclusion as well, although he said, we don't call it sort of inflammation or anything, we call it something else. Anyway, whatever he calls it, it's basically inflammation, a little bit of sensitivity there around the hip flexors. So I'm stretching now, which is really helping, and that's just blown my mind how much the stretching is really helping. Just for me to bend down now, I just could not bend down at all. I thought it was just old age creeping up with me, thinking, okay, that's it. I'm approaching 60. It means that I can't bend down and pick stuff up like I used to. But really what it is I've just limited myself to not just one sport, but just to running really slow, even if it is for a very long time, one sport. And it just meant that my muscles have just they just got said, right, that's all you're going to do. That's the only flexibility you're going to get, is just that short range. So bending down was a problem. But now already just going to the gym, I can really flex. I can really sort of bend down and pick up stuff now, which is a relief. So it is possible to get it back. And I have been reading up more and more on this. So it's actually kind of exciting. If I can get rid of this injury, I think we're in for an exciting period of a new chapter really in my life, whereas before I could get away with things, now I can't. And it really means I need to concentrate on everything, going to the gym, doing stretches and all of that stuff. I can't just rely on using a foam roller and being vegan, which was good enough for me to do as much as I did. But obviously just approaching 60 or 59 means that I've got to change my tactics. So I'm kind of excited. It's a whole new chapter, a whole new way of, okay, I've got to start really taking care of myself in terms of food and everything. So it's really weird to say that, I am a little bit down from 3 weeks of not really being able to run very much, and it's not really getting the distance I want or not getting the speed I want. It is what it is. When I do need to run, so I did park run on Saturday, and I did a group run as well with the Harlem Hobblers. So there I'm quite happy to pick it up a little bit and get to 6:30 pace. I can't go any faster than that. I don't want to go any faster than that. But I can do that if I need to. And just like the physio said, is like some of the tips he was like saying, okay, it's okay to have a little bit of pain when you're running. Just make sure that when you stop, that it's not, you're recovering. So the next time you run, it's not worse. And when you're running, it's not getting worse. So as long as it's not getting worse, then that's okay. Then you've got it contained, and hopefully it'll just get better over time if you just take care of a bit of it. So he's given me some stretches, and I think that is true. I went for the run today, and it was a bit of a balance. I was like, on one hand, I was like going, oh, this is so frustrating. I'm sort of injured, and I'm hobbling, and it's just embarrassing just how slow and injured I look when I run now. But on the other hand, I was like going, hang on, I think it actually feels a little bit better than it has been. So it is going slowly in the right direction, just not as quickly as I want. But the other thing the physio said was that don't stop, because if you do stop, suddenly you're going to drop your training down. And when you do, suddenly you have to go up to 350 kilometers. That's just too much of a leap, and you're more likely to get injured that way. So you might actually be worse off if you do try and rest it. So that's the injury status. It is what it is. I can't do anything about it, or I can do something about it, and I'm trying to do the best that I can do. And it just means I go slower. The next thing is food. So some positive news about that. And I think that actually talking to you via the podcast, or even if there's no one listening, is that it's just putting it out there. It's like saying, look, I need to be more mindful about the food I'm eating, and I am. I had a little bit of a lapse this morning. There was a chocolate bar that was just in my bag that had been there. On a positive note, it's been there for most of a week, but I just got it out and ate it and everything. So I'm not, there was a couple of things I didn't do very well this morning, but on the whole, I'm actually feeling a lot better. My clothes are feeling a little bit looser than they were. I haven't weighed myself, but I am going down in the right direction, and more importantly, I'm going in the right direction just through being more careful with what I'm eating and not overeating rather than undereating. So that's actually a positive. So I'm feeling quite upbeat about how that's going. I just want. I wear extra large t-shirts. I just want them to not be stretched to the max. That's kind of what I want. And sure enough, there is a little bit more looseness there. I wouldn't say it's particularly loose, but there's a little bit more. So I'm really happy about the way things are going there, and more importantly that it is going in a controlled manner that is not impacting me at all. So it's not really deficit. All it is just eating a normal amount, but I'm just running so much or so active that technically it is deficit. Okay, so it is deficit, but it's not extreme or anything. It's just really gradual. I think maybe I've lost a kilo. That's it. So I'm not saying anything more than that. So that was the injury, and that's the weight thing. Really chuffed with that. I'm starting to get the details now together. I still haven't done the website. I need to get that going. Tomorrow, I'm off to Nijmegen for the 4-day march, the Vierdaagse. So I'm doing 2 days there, which means I've got a little bit of time to take my laptop and get things done there. I'm really cut back now on trying to get more sponsors. I think we're now beyond that point. We've got just under 3 weeks to go, so I'm not going to try and get any more sponsors now. If some sponsors come along during the month, I'm all for it. So there's definitely planning that I can do that for sure. But I'm just focusing on the sponsors I've got now that I'm excited about. Some really nice sponsors that are coming along, which I'm going to be involved in, and I'm also starting to get the days sorted out now. So on the first day, I think I mentioned on the podcast last week, I'm going to be doing, or if not, then what I'm going to be doing on the very first day is kicking it off with the Haarlem Hobblers. So we'll be starting, I think, 7:15 on Friday, the 7th from Westhof Coffee Place that's right next to Haarlem Station. So doing that with them, I'll get just a few kilometres in there, then I'll head off. So going back to the injury, it means that I do start really nice and early. I've got plenty of time. It's not going to be a rush to get the 50 kilometres in on the first day, so I'm excited about that. It also means it's not a big hubbaloo, sort of like a big fanfare of a start. I just want to have a nice chilled one with runners that I know. I don't want to sort of I want it to, if it builds up, I want it to be a natural build up. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself at the moment. Just enjoy it and try and spread the messages that I want to. And then the next day, I'm going to do a PLOG. So my group plog that I do once a month, or try and do sort of around once a month, I'm actually going to do on that one. I'm like, why not? I've got the Saturday. So the second day is the Saturday. So I'm going to run to park run, do park run. And then after park run, I'm going to run back to RunX and do my PLOG that I do my monthly cleanup. Why not? And then that should get sort of a nice bit of kilometres in before really the afternoon sets in. So again, it's a couple of early starts on those ones that will just sort of settle me in to the adventure itself. And then the first sponsor post is going to be on the Monday, which I'm really excited about. So that's I'm just arranging that at the moment, and that's actually really perfect because it coincides with the whole thing I was talking about in terms of I need to change how I do things. So it's a company. I'm not going to reveal their name just yet. Keep it as a surprise. But I'm really excited about them in terms of supporting me on the new phase of my journey as a more senior person, a more mature person. Well, mature is not the right word, but yeah, just carry on with that. So the days are starting to come in, and then I'll make the plans for the rest of them. I've got a few other days that I'm planning in, which is good. And then I think that's about it really that I just want to talk about. I think there's no point rambling on and just saying things and repeat. I do want to talk about two things that are frustrating. So I'm going to moan now. So if you want to not listen to this, then I would say just stop now. Otherwise, that positive attitude that I try and sort of bring in, I'm actually going to have some negative thoughts that I just want to talk about now. I just want to get them off because it's not really negative. It's just negative things that I've seen that are negative, and that drives really the reason why I'm trying to do what I do and trying to inspire people into positive action, because we need it so much. Because we're heading in the wrong direction. So the first one is actually a broken bin. It's as simple as a broken bin. So about a month ago, one of these beautiful bins that we've got in Haarlem that really compress stuff and everything, really great in the streets, loads of them in the town centre. Love these bins. They're really nice and secure. They don't get broken into and everything. One of them, the opening is broken. It just doesn't work, and it's been like that for a month. Now, what happens is the refuse company that empty it, they literally just open up the bin, change the bag, close it, and then go on to the next one. So they're not checking whether the bin, the actual lid that opens up, whether that actually works. And it doesn't. It's just set, it's stuck. And it's been stuck for a month. So all that's happening is the refuse company are coming along, opening them up, saying, oh, look, there's no trash. That's a bit weird. They're not like putting two and two together. Like, why is this trash? Why is this bin completely empty every time? Because they just close it on and go to the next one. I presume because a month and it's not been fixed. I've sent in a report using the Bauta Beta app to the council that gets passed on to the refuse company, saying that it's broken. So I've done that. That's a couple of weeks ago now. And also I've started posting on my socials daily and tagging the refuse company and the council in. It's just, why is this taking so long? I just don't understand it. This is a bin that is broken, that all it means is trash gets put on top of it. There's more trash around the area now because of it. There's also a Statsy buck, which is specifically for Statsy held cans and bottles. And there's always been a frustration, the fact that people use it as a bin, but because it's right next to it, people are just filling that up with just trash because they want to put the trash somewhere. And again, the refuse company don't clear those out. Why do they not clear those out? There's I think there's around 10 of them in town, something along those lines. And they're always full of other trash. Why is it not the refuse company just to make sure that they're empty? It only takes a few seconds to do it. Now, I can understand it might, there could be some contracts and things like that. But it should really be that the council and the refuse company have said, right, we've got these ones in. Let's just make sure they're in a good state. A good example is in Zaandam. Whenever I go to Zaandam, I'm amazed. There's one of the cleaner that goes around that empties the bin. He goes around and he cleans the bin. He actually has cloths and wet cloths and everything like that, and he cleans the bins when he empties them. He just makes sure they're in a really good state. Why is that not normal behaviour in other places? I've only seen it in Zaandam. Does it happen in other places? I suspect so. Is it down to the refuse, to the refuse collector, to the person that's actually doing it, that thinks, I want to do something more, I want to be proud of the work that I do? Or what is different between Zaandam and these other places? So that's a bit frustrating that it's a month later. It's got to a point where tomorrow I'm actually going to put a sticker on the bin, and that just says, this is broken. There is a bin 4 meters that way, and there's a bin 4 meters that way. They are literally just, maybe 7 meters. They are really close. It's not that far apart. But I'm just going to put that on the bin and then sit as right bang on there and see if that promotes the council or the refuse company to take action, to actually really say this bin is broken. So I think that's a bit like there was this thing in England where they call it jobs worth. You do your job and you don't do anything more, and that is exactly it. That's what's happening here. It's just so frustrating. It's not a new problem. It's been there for as long as humans have been around. They will only do as much as they need to and not anything more. But it is a bit frustrating that it's been so long. The other thing that happened was literally just today, and I put a story on it on Instagram, and this one was really shocking. So that was about companies and corporations and councils. This one is about people. So there were some, I think they must have been around 18, 19 or something, two girls. And they were at the traffic lights. I was walking past, I just walked beyond them, and I heard this big shriek of two people just shrieking, going, ah! Like that. And so I turned around, and these two girls were just in a pile with their bikes on the ground. I don't know what happened, But I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. And I looked around and I saw, right, there's a boy, there's a boy on a bike, similar age, right next to them. Presume he's either with them and he's going to help, or he's not with them and he's going to ask them, "You're okay?" He just completely ignored them for as much as I could tell. Literally less than a meter apart from them, and he just left them on the ground. And there was some families nearby. There were about 10 people that were closer than I was, and no one went to help them. Either they thought, oh, there's nothing in the hat and there's nothing, to be done. They just fell over, or I don't know what it is. But I was like, should I go back there or just wait for them to do it? And I was like waiting a little bit. And eventually I thought, no one's going to there to help them. And they're still stuck there on the ground, unable to get out. So I literally walked over there, and they were still stuck in a pile. Meanwhile, there's about 10 people closer that are just not reacting. And I helped them get sort of disentangled, because their bikes are all sort of, the pedals are in the spokes and all things like that. So it was a bit tricky to get the bikes separated and get them separated from the bikes as well, but eventually got it working. I had to straighten up the steering wheel as well, because that got twisted around, so I had to sort of really help them to get going. It was just so upsetting that people were looking, they just weren't doing anything. The reason why I kind of want to do this run for promises, and it might be a theme goes on into my other runs as well, like just trying to get people to do positive actions. It wouldn't have cost that the boy, the young guy, to say, "You okay? Can I help?" right next to them. He was just there waiting at the traffic lights on his bike as well. Why are people not? Why do they just not react? I don't get it. So the reason why I'm doing this run for promises, to try and inspire people to start caring. Is it, and I know that, again, the Jobsworth thing and like this as well, there's been, this is not a new thing that's happened, but I'm just seeing it more and more. There was also a girl on a bench. I'm guessing she was early 20s, just got some new headphones, and she was just taking them out of the box, sitting on the bench, and the instructions, or the guarantee or whatever it is, some of the pamphlets, the paper pamphlets you get, just fell on the floor. She looked down, just ignored it. She had all the rest of the packaging in her hand, just carrying on, just ignoring that thing that was down there. And so I just went up there and said, "Shall I put that in the bin? Do you want to put the rest of the things in the bin?" And she just looked at me. I was like, "Yeah, okay." That was it. It was like she couldn't be bothered if I did, or she did say thank you, but she would have just left that piece of paper there. We just need to inspire people to start caring. If people don't do this, there is no future. Doesn't really matter if you're green or you're not. If you can't bring in kindness into this world, we have no future. It is as simple as that. It doesn't matter what companies are doing. It doesn't matter what governments are doing. They can be incredible. If we as people don't change, it's never going to have a good future for us. Anyway, I think that's it. That's the update for this week. I'm going to try and get another one in maybe Saturday, something along those lines. So I'll give you an update then, because I'm now off for a few days at the Nijmeegse Vierdaagse, which is going to be a bit of a hoot. I'm intrigued to see how that's going to go. Anyway, thanks for listening. Sorry it took a little bit longer. It wasn't last week. It's now the start of this week. Even though you might be re-listening to this in a month's time. So it makes no impact to you. So I'm going to shut up now. Speak to you next time. My name is Paul. This is my way of life. Bye.